Following Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming out and announcing that he is not going to be re-signing with the Toronto Blue Jays prior to this deadline, Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins have come out, spoken out, and revealed the shocking truth behind why they failed to come to an agreement with Vladdy. We're going to break down exactly what they say and discuss what this means going forward, as it has Jays fans fired up. We're also going to break down some other comments that they made surrounding Vladdy's future in Toronto past this deadline. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. So if you want to continue supporting, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Obviously, the Jays are in a pretty rough spot right now. We're hoping that Vladdy was going to be a Jay for life, and it is still possible. And even, it's still possible that he extends before the season starts. He did come out and say that, but there's going to be a lot of different things to go over. We'll have multiple videos today because there's a ton of comments, but let's focus and shift our efforts specifically to what Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins said immediately after, or, about an hour or so ago. So it started with, and we're going to start with Shapiro, even though Ross Atkins spoke first, because Shapiro, he is a bit easier to listen to compared to, of course, Ross Atkins. So a few different things to go over here. So we started by saying we couldn't align on a common number. A lot of progress was made. Mark Shapiro shares why he thinks that the Blue Jays and Vladdy couldn't agree to an extension. And you're going to see a common theme here while I'm talking about how there was, there's a lot of, corporate jargon would be the way to say it. And there's a lot of things that Jays fans aren't necessarily very happy about. And it's simply because it's completely their fault. It is the front office's fault. Now, whether you want to say it's their fault this specific offseason because they couldn't come to an agreement or because they didn't do it earlier on in his career, that's up to you. But it is their fault, unless Vladdy was asked for like $600 million, which I don't think we're going to get numbers. But he started with that, and there's a bunch of different things I want to go over here. Mark Shapiro also said we were emotional. We did value the player deeply and even went past our value because we cared so deeply about him and wanted to have him here. And it's interesting because numbers haven't been leaked surrounding this ever since that offer of $340 million came out. And if you start, and we're going to do an interesting, I have some screenshots surrounding the top 10 paid players in the MLB because Ross Atkins had a very interesting comment kind of lending some insight surrounding what they actually offered him. But again, they said they went over their evaluation. So you have to assume that their valuation was at 340. They maybe went up to 360, 370, maybe 400, depending on where you think. But clearly, we know Vladimir Guerrero Jr. came out and said that they weren't close to his number. So Vladdy must have been asking for a very hefty amount of money. And there's some more comments here. And I want to go into this a little bit because this kind of reveals some of the truth behind why they missed out. And it's just simply because Vladdy was asking for too much money too much money compared to what Ross Atkins wanted to do. And the front office and ownership, Ed Rogers, it's not all on Ross Atkins, even though we'd like to think it is. It's not always, fully on him. Everybody else has to make decisions as well. Albeit Ross Atkins should probably be fired. Atkins says Blue Jays made Vladimir Guerrero Jr. offers that would have been record-setting. Asked what records, he clarified Blue Jays records, and he would have been one of the highest paid players in the game. So he almost got caught up in, I guess not a lie, but a, interesting way of wording things, because he did say records and people were initially thinking MLB records. You think about Soto, you think about, of course, Shohei Ohtani, but it was Blue Jays records. And the Blue Jays record is under 200 million anyway, George Springer and all these different things, right? So his contract for the Blue Jays record, obviously he was going to beat a Blue Jays record. That's like an obvious comment to make. And it's very interesting. And I want to go over this before we dive into some of the contract comparisons. Atkins said, every deal, every situation is different. We always have had incredible support. How you come up with a value and are willing to read certain thresholds, you have to stay disciplined too. You have to stay disciplined to the fact that we are running a business. And that's what Ross Atkins said. And I can guarantee you that no fans wanted to hear that. And we knew that this was coming if they didn't extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They'd be saying it's a business. They'll be saying all these different things. And it's at the point now where, yes, it is a business. Obviously, they have their numbers, and we won't know exactly what Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s exact number was that he was asking for. I assume it was in the range of 500 million plus, which is a little crazy, and it's up to you guys to think, whether or not you believe that Vladdy is worth that. The Jays kind of had to do it, and they didn't, even though the Juan Soto situation really pressed the market with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and that's what we're seeing in a bunch of different reports now. It's basically that Vladdy is asking a ton, and as a result, the Jays were not comfortable giving and getting to that number. When you're talking about what exactly he was looking for, and again, Mark Shapiro comes out and says some other things. But okay, they said one of the highest paid players in the game. Let's look at some of the highest paid players in the game. You look at Juan Soto's contract, $765, Shohei Ohtani's $700, and then you have Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Aaron Judge, some players like that. So you'd have to assume that their contract was between Mookie Betts and Mike Trout. My guess is that it was between them 380, 390, whereas Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is looking to be the third highest paid player in baseball, probably at around 475 to 500 million. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I understand to a degree why the Jays didn't pay if he was asking for 500, 550 million, but they could have done this, albeit it's very difficult now in hindsight or it's easier in hindsight to say it. They could have done it years ago. Their number one goal should have been to get Vladdy extended, and now we're heading into a season where they couldn't align on a common number, and as a result, they're stuck in a point where if every, like I mentioned in the first video today, even if every time Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets an RBI, every time he gets a home run, every time he gets a Jays accolade, whatever it ends up being this specific season, it's going to be hell. Well, now he's worth more money, and this is a chance that this is the last time he's a Toronto Blue Jay. If he hits a walk-off home run, there's going to be a bittersweet feeling every single time. So it is a very bad feeling to have as a Jays fan. And again, as you compare it to the current prices of these other players and the contracts they got, I mean, you can kind of start to estimate where we know the Jays were at 340 million, which was it would be the seventh highest player paid in baseball, and then you think about them saying they went above their projections. That's what Mark Shapiro said, and you could assume that now. I mean, maybe between Mookie Betts and Mike Trout, so it's unfortunate. And of course, Atkins used his corporate jargon like usual. Every situation is different, incredible support, all these different things, which nobody ever wants to hear because it's very, very annoying. Shapiro even said it's easier to build a championship team with Guerrero, but we still have to say discipline to a number, into a process. In this case, we were emotional. We wanted to have him here. And Vladdy has come out and said he wants to be here. We'll have more videos kind of diving into that deeper. And Mark Shapiro spoke much more directly about the situation and expressed his disappointment because we know that Vladdy came out and said things weren't close. Ross said it depends how you define close and he doesn't want to. And then Mark Shapiro came out and said there's no such thing as close or not close. There's done and not done. And there were some other questions from reporters as well, some very good ones surrounding him being traded and things like that, but also about what confidence level that the Jays front office and Ross Atkins has in retaining Vladimir Guerrero Jr., whether that be before the season, whether that be during the season, regarding signing an extension, or whether that be in free agency. And Ross Atkins' response was, confidence will be an effort and desire, and that is there. And that was the exact words that Ross Atkins said when asked about his confidence level. So he didn't give an actual confidence level. He just said that it is a desire and effort, which that makes it makes no sense at all. And I mean, it kind of makes sense coming from Ross Atkins. That's how he speaks. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think fans are pretty fed up with Ross Atkins, myself included, of course. And now we just got to shift our focus a little bit. Spring training starting today. Baseball is starting in a month. And hopefully the Jays can continue to, or not even continue. Hopefully the Jays can start winning some ball games once the regular season starts. But a bunch of different weird comments, and this is what we expected if he wasn't going to sign. And we also have other teams now saying, getting ready to hop on the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. train, all these different things. And we're going to keep you guys up to date with all the latest news. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on these comments. It's going to be a very, very long next few months. Thank you guys for watching.